So Lecrae, first of all, just to set the table, we know P Diddy is one of the gatekeepers of music, and in order to get these major deals, like your Travis Scotts, your Playboy Cardis, your Drakes, Nelly, all of them, Ja Rule, they say you have to be sodomized by somebody who's a higher ranking person in this world. Um, I heard stories that Quincy Jones was one of those guys. They say he's the kingpin. He's the guy that produced Michael Jackson and everybody that's huge. They went through Quincy Jones. Will Smith went through Quincy Jones, and I'm just saying P Diddy's that guy for this generation. So they say Lecrae attended a celebrity party hosted by Diddy. Should artists who are Christians abstain from industry events, knowing what goes on, or should they do what is necessary to network and build their brand? I'm going to start with our spoken word guy, Mr. Chris Hale.
No. Scripture is clear. Light should have nothing to do with darkness. So why, as someone who's a child of the light, not saying Lecrae is, I think by now, I think we all agree Lecrae's full-blown apostate at this point when it comes to Christianity. But someone who claims to be a child of the light, why would you go to a place of darkness just to promote yourself or get yourself more known? If you're going to a place of darkness, then it's to shine light on that darkness. It's to make Christ known in that darkness. Otherwise, why are you even wasting your time there? Unless it's really all about you and getting yourself made known, not really about Christ. It's about selling your soul to Satan per se in order to elevate yourself by attending some of these events or parties or anything like that. Go to Rather attend a church event, find local churches, see what events they're putting on, show up to those, promote yourself that way, promote your music, promote Christ that way. Um, is that to say that a Christian artist can't perform at a secular music festival? No. But what you're finding is a lot of these Christian artists, and I say that with air quotations, because I can think of a few specifically that had been going to a lot of secular events, and slowly their music became more and more secular, less and less Christ focused, because that's who they're surrounding themselves with. That's who their audience are, so that's who they're trying to promote themselves to their audience. You're not going to reach a dead world with Christ and thinking they're going to love you. No, they're going to revile you. They're going to hate you for speaking truth to them. So you water down your message slowly and slowly so that the world accepts it. You're no longer using the word Christ. You're no longer talking about heaven, about salvation, about glory. You water it down to life is good. Uh, Good things are going to come out of bad situations. You just slowly water down the gospel to it's all about feeling good, and about concepts that might seem biblical, but honestly aren't really biblical. I mean, take for example K-Love. I mean, it's kind of marketed as a Christian radio station, but in their advertisements, I remember listening to some of them, and it's all about feel good music and inspirational music. It's not outwardly Christ centered, Christ focused. So that's the danger you run into when you try to make Christ to fit mainstream when it was never designed to fit mainstream. So if you want to be an artist and want to get Christ out there in the mainstream, it's it's not happening because the world doesn't know Christ nor wants Christ. You should always preach Christ in your message, but also understand that if you're wanting to connect with the world with Christ, Christ is at enmity with the world. You're not going to be able to have both. You're either going to love one and you're going to hate the other. So which is it going to be? And we all know about P Diddy and his parties and how those go. You got TD Jakes is a staple at P Diddy's parties. So that should go ahead and tell you about what kind of things happening at P Diddy's parties and why, as a Christian or even a Christian artist, why it's such a bad idea to get involved in such debauchery, to put it lightly, because that's exactly what happens at those parties is debauchery.
Bro,
It's
real quick.
actually it's actually funny. I finally finished that Cat Williams interview with Shannon Sharp, and he even kind of
Yep.
mentioned that and how he was propositioned at one of Diddy's parties, and
He
he
said you
said
just gotta
no.
tell Diddy no.
He said no.
You have to tell Diddy no. It's funny that you brought up TD Jakes because I literally swapped out this question with TD Jakes. I originally was going to use TD, but I left it alone. But anyway, Osman, should artists who are Christian abstain from industry events so what goes on, or should they do what is necessary to network and build their brand?
Uh, no, and yes, I guess in some ways. I I I I like Chris's perspective on it. I I get that we're not supposed to be of the world, but we're supposed to be in the world. Um, and I'm gonna quote a theologian that didn't know that she was a theologian when she said this, about the light and dark comment. Selena, is it Selena Gomez once said in one of her lyrics, "The light has come to take back what the darkness stole." And I do think there is an opportunity to be a witness in those places, to be light, and to help people who are seeking to get out of the darkness. Yeah, sure. I would treat P. Diddy's engagements as a opportunity to evangelize and outreach and get good music out there. And but at the same time, don't get caught up, don't get swept and lured by the darkness and the appeal of it. And the question I want to pose for Lecrae is: are you doing this to get your name out or to get God's name out? And I think the second part, I think, is where Lecrae's been having
That's a
issues.
bar. That is a bar.
And so I think that he's been stressing with getting his name and his brand out more than Christ's brand. And I've listened to his book, I've listened to his music. He said that he went from being a Paul to being a David. Church Clothes album was meant for people who've never been in the church. So I don't mind the the phrase that I've heard and I like is there's two types of people that churches should reach for. The people that said, I'm never going to church, or I'm never going back to church, to de church, and the unchurched, people who have never been in the church building. And I think if he wants to say my music is for those who've never been to church to get them into church, great. Or if he says my music's for those who said I'm never going back to church, great. So he's using this opportunity to bring people back into the fold and to be like Christ in the sense of there are sheep that are not are part of this flock but are part of this flock but are lost, and Christ goes after the lost sheep. Like great, but if he's doing it to get his name recognition, to get the fame of being considered one of the greatest artists of all time, like no, get out. Because I don't, yeah, I like NF, and I think what he's doing is great. His name recognition is out there, but I don't think he cares about being at these parties. He just cares about making good music. And I think Lecrae has, as he said in his own book and interviews, is he's been put into a box and he doesn't like it and he wants to get out of the box. And the box that he was put in is Christian artist. And he says he's been fighting it for a long time and he wants his music to be out there more. And I think the question that I pose is, uh, if you're wanting out of the Christian music box, just don't lose the Christian while you're searching for the other boxes. And I think that that's where we're seeing his music as a little not as great. I think he's aiming more towards the world than he is Christ. or helping the world see Christ. So yeah, that's my viewpoint. If he's going there to be light in a dark room, great, bring light to people. But if you're going there to be friends with the light or darkness and stay or like in the midst of it, as at least from Chris's point of view, do not go there and do not dim your light in order to make the darkness feel comfortable. So, yeah.
Tyler.
All right, well, you guys heard it. Let's try to pull some strings to get Osmond tickets to get into this next party. All right, go to one of the Diddy parties and
Are you kidding me? I would stand out like a sore thumb for multiple reasons. One,
it's all right. It's all
they'd be like, how the heck did you let this guy in wearing Cole's special? Like, you're not even dressed right for the party. Two, I'm sticking out like a sore thumb. I'm too friendly. I'd be like, hi, how are you doing? Like, what do you do for a living? I'm a missionary. They're like, oh, what are you doing here?
oh, well, I think you guys both covered every base pretty well. I think the only thing that I would say is I would just condense it and just say simply, in response to the question, do Christian, let me read the question here. Wrong one, sorry. Should artists who are Christian abstain from industry events knowing what goes on, or should they do what's necessary to network and build their brand? There's two ways to respond that I see it, aside from what you guys have already done. And one is you should do what's necessary if you want the result without compromising yourself. You have to put that caveat on there because you will no longer have the same goals if you are no longer are the same person. So you have to originate with who you are. And then the other thing that I would say in response to it is if you know what's going on and you're coming at it from a Christian's perspective, it's pearls to swine. You know, when you leave the city that has rejected the word of God, dust off your feet as you go. You're not returning, and you're going to share that rejection with your brothers. Hey, don't go there. Those guys want nothing to do with our God. We have greener fields to harvest. So that's as simple as I can put it. Is you can do what's necessary. Just don't lose yourself in the goal or in the work, and or refrain because you know that it's not a place. It's not a place for you, right? It's a place that has rejected God through and through. So other than that, I think you guys have summed it up pretty well.
Agreed. Honestly, looking at Lacrae's career, Osmond, that was a bar for real. Like, is he interested in building up his own personal brand or the name of Christ? I think that's literally the heart of it right there. When Lacrae came on the scene, I remember seeing him live, whatever that music festival is in Wilmer, Minnesota. I forgot what it was called, but he was propped up by the life. Thank you, Lifeline. He was propped up by the Christian community. Nobody was publicizing him in secular media. Nobody knew who he was. But the Christian community of their own accord, and mind you now, Christian radio didn't even play him because the art form of hip hop is still a little scary to them. My man had a Billboard 200 #1 album just by the Christian community supporting him alone. So the fact that he's trying to like get in these industry parties, like, bro, you didn't even need it. If you're concerned with like propelling yourself into success, what we consider earthly success, album sales, etc., he didn't need to do that. Like, you already had the wholehearted support of the Christian community on their own without secular marketing and distribution. That's a success story. And now that he's come to the conclusion that he needs to mingle in worldly events, bruh, Pastor T.D. Jakes' church, the Potter's House, is internationally known. That's one of the largest churches in the world outside of Joel Osteen and maybe a handful of a few other people. He started going to Diddy's parties, and the stories that they started releasing about him. Bro, what business did he have? I don't want to say I know his heart. Maybe he had the idea of maybe I'll be salt in a dark place. Maybe that was his mindset. All I know is that environment consumed him, and that's not the same TD Jakes from 10 years ago. That's all I can say. He's traded it in for having that secret duplicitous lifestyle, and unfortunately, the things he's done in the dark, they're coming to the light now. And look what it's doing to his reputation. My man had an international Christian brand that was untouchable. He didn't even believe in the Trinity of God, but people didn't even care because he was so talented as an orator that people supported him anyways. My man didn't believe in the triune nature of God. He had a debate. I don't know if everybody remembers it. It was like 15 years ago. He had a roundtable debate with like John Piper. I think it was Matt Chandler was probably the other guy. And they ended up converting him later on down the road. But for him to have spotty theology, pretty shallow, more motivational, he received earthly success. Whether like or not, I don't personally agree with his theology, but he still converted people to Christ. And just to have like the skeletons in your closet come up and just destroy everything that you built, that's sad. That is sad. And I guess his day has come now. So in regards to Lacrae, I don't know what he's chasing, but it can't be album sales or success because he already had that. He just won 2 Grammys last week at the Grammy Awards. And when he had his #1 album, I don't know if he had a mainstream Grammy Award win. I got to double check that to make sure I'm accurate. But if he's chasing human accolade from the non-Christian world, it looks like he's getting it now. But he's losing his Christian fan base in the process. And it's weird to me because every time people like speak out and say, hey, we're no longer supporting Lacrae, and I see a lot of those videos, and he just says, oh, they're the stuck-up Christian, they're the corny Christian, they're the socially awkward. Like he always dismisses it as something is like fundamentally wrong with them, rather than, bruh, you're deceiving yourself. You're believing a lie. You think you can have both sides of the coin, man. You can't. Not as a Christian artist. But I don't know, man. I think he's deceived, man. He has so much worldly success. The money's there. He just got his 2 Grammy Awards a couple of days ago. I don't think you could tell him nothing now. He's accepted into the Diddy network now. Like, bruh, ain't no Christian. He had Vadi Bakum, one of my favorite pastors, as one of his spiritual guides early in his career. And he spoke openly about how he stopped meeting with him and he cut him out of his life. To have Vadi as one of the guys that's in your corner, bro, and you cut him out, that says a lot, bro. Vadi is like a solid dude. I love that guy, man. Good theology, great orator as well. But that'll be my 2 cents on that as well. He's lost in the sauce right now, I think.
Do you think we, as Christians, share in the responsibility of that, the way that we prop up these artists, these pastors, and then when they fall, then we're like, oh, well, I don't know about that. He wasn't part of it. But I think we share in the responsibility because we prop these people up. We're like, yeah, they're sold out for Christ. They're in our corner. Like we want to support these people. We want to put them on this pedestal, and then they end up falling because of it. I mean, Lecrae's one of them. I think a lot of those 116 guys are right there with him. I mean, I've been to Andy Mineo's concert before, and gosh, I wouldn't have known it was a Christian concert, to be honest with you. And that was, gosh, I don't know, 7 years ago. And from what I hear, he's only gotten worse since then. Pastors, I mean, yeah, Matt Chandler, what's another one? Driscoll, uh, one nowadays, Alistair Begg with the whole gay marriage thing. One of our personal favorites, Ravi. I mean, we prop these people up, and maybe that's part of the problem is we prop them up and they fall.
I agree. I think we do have a part to do with it, um, because when we prop them up, we do so from with so much love and excitement. Um, we don't attach accountability to it, which is what every individual consumer should do. Um, but we give him fame, and we understand who the Lord of this world is. When it comes to fame, he's in that business. And when you get fame, you got to go through him, or you have to encounter him. Um, but no, I agree. I do think we have man, the Ravi situation still breaks my heart. I was contemplating adding a Ravi question as well. Um, I don't know if you got just sorry, this is just a side note. Randomly, like I haven't looked at Ravi in a while, but like a couple of days ago, um, they made some claims again that they released the information, the evidence from the investigation too early because now there's new evidence that's been revealed that might change the conclusion of the investigation. I haven't looked into it yet, but I just saw that like two or three nights ago, I think. But yeah, I don't know anything about what happened with Alistair Begg or anything like that. But yeah, I feel you on that, man.
I thought the Alistair Begg was a would he attend a gay wedding? I think was the question he was asking. He said yes. But I
Really?
context matters. But I think that was the whole like backlash is that he why would he answer yes? Like why would you go? Um,
Well, it was
but
that,
I'm
or
not
he
sure.
did. It was asked personally to him, and he did say yes. But then I think maybe a week later, he doubled down on it, and then almost had it where it was like a prescription for all Christians. Like, if you want to be, a true Christian, then you ought to go to a gay marriage or a marriage or
That's probably okay.
He
That would
forgot. He
cause
forgot the meaning
distance
of
for me.
marriage. Then he forgot the meaning
Yeah.
of marriage.
Dang, I like him too. Yeah.
When did this happen?
gosh, I want to say about 2 weeks ago. This first happened, so it wasn't that long
If you can
ago.
find
Two,
the,
3 weeks ago.
That flew under my radar. Did not
yeah,
hear.
me too.
I heard Matt Chandler. The Chandler one, I like Matt Chandler a lot. I've jokingly said if we got a job offer to work in this church, we'll probably be moving to Texas. Um, that
I
was
love
just
my channel.
crazy. Like, someone, the whole debacle there was he was
He was cleared
becoming
up. It was cleared.
yeah right. It was he was too familiar and too frequently texting a friend who's a female, and someone else felt uncomfortable that that girl, that his friend had that much open access to him, even though her
Right.
husband wasn't aware of it and his wife was aware of it, and there was no
Right.
sexual relationship. It was just a friendship where he was being, I think, openly honest about just his pressures and stress, and just shared too much. But someone else found it to be
Yeah.
too
And
much.
you, and the
Like, come on.
and the context of the text message was about sports. They're all in like a group message. He said that where they talk sports a lot because Matt Chandler played quarterback in college, and so they
Oh
have other
really?
athlete friends that are married. She was married, and she actually started. She initiated the text. She texted him about sports first, and then he responded to it. And the girl's friend looked over her shoulder and saw his name and that they were texting. She said that she didn't even see the content of the text message. She just reported it to an elder in the church because she just thought it was suspicious.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay. That's the world we live in.
Yeah,
But
I
at that
still
point,
respect him.
he's a heavenly known pastor. Like that's, I don't harp on the friend for doing that. That's what she felt convicted to do. It's just, yeah. But he had to take a sabbatical away so that they can investigate and make sure things are good. So
Yeah, and he
I'm just glad
voluntarily
he
stepped
got clear,
himself down. Yeah.
and I'm glad that he was cleared of it.
Mm-hmm.
But man, yeah, I don't know why we propped up these folks. Like in China, the most famous pastors, no one knows where they are, who they are. You just know the teachings that they teach and the word that gets out. But in America here, our well-known pastors are not people that probably represent Christianity well, but they're well known.
Mike
Same with the
Todd.
world. Yeah, Michael Todd and I have beef. Oh my gosh! Like Dear Lord, that man. Do you know there's an Instagram account called Preachers and Sneakers, and he's heavily featured that calls out. Do you
Yep.
know how much money this man wastes on
Yep.
fashion? And he says that the clothes and stuff that he wears is a tool that gets people like hooked. And I'm looking at you're sitting there wearing like $30,000 worth of clothing and
Yep.
sneakers. Yeah, Tyler, it's bad, like thousands. And
It's
he
a good
says that
Instagram
this is
page.
for the
Yeah.
glory of God, and this clothing budget is part of his church budget, like as a preacher.
I,
And
I
I
didn't know
don't get
that.
it. He just did a whole series on money, and it's blasphemous in a lot of ways. You should. It's I have beef with him, and he says that us Christians who call him out on this are jealous. Okay,
But you
okay.
see, those people sitting in the pews, they're not victims. Like they're
No,
not victims.
no,
They're in it as much as he
they're
is.
enablers. Yeah, I
Yep.
get it. But you should see it. The man wears so many expensive things, and part of me is like, you could have planted churches with the money that he wears. Planted churches.
That's absurd.
Bruh, I didn't know he included his clothing budget in the church budget. That's insane.
It
That's
is.
brilliant, right? Why didn't we think of this?
Stop
Like
it!
there's
Stop it!
there's very
Let me call
few
my pastor.
there's very few people I really would like punch on sight, but he's one of them. If I ever sell that dude,
Yeah,
God forbid, I will punch him on sight
yeah,
just for his nonsense that he's up at the
yeah,
pulpit talking
Uh,
about. And
yep.
You'd
like
probably get
he's
promoted in U.S. boxing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you
like
could.
this dude literally admitted, like, I don't know anything about being a pastor. I don't even know what a pastor is or what it means.
The Joel
But
Osteen answer.
I'm just up here preaching, and I have been. I'm like, you lucky that God doesn't strike you dead where you stand right now.
Yeah, but somehow he doesn't do it. But yet, Nabil Qureshi gets stomach cancer, passes away. It's like, ugh, wrong person.
Time to read the book of Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, I know. Chance. Hevel. The Lecrae still gets 3 million listeners a month on Spotify. I didn't realize that he's still really popular. Has had a new album since 2022. Church Close
Golly.
Part 4.